Welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 25 of Sales Team Rescue. I am your host, Jeremy DeMerchant, and today we have another special guest with us. Now, Christine Schlonski, the queen of sales success mindset, is a multi-talented leader in the field of sales mindset, motivation, and strategies. She's the host of the Heart Sales podcast, and she works with heart-centered entrepreneurs who love what they do but have a difficult time selling their products and services. Christine shows them how to make sales with ease, grace, and confidence. Christine, welcome to Sales Team Rescue.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jeremy. It's so exciting.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here. So it's very interesting because we came together because there's a couple different circles that we travel in, but we're in this secret mastermind group that we can't tell anyone about. I love it, but it's so much fun, and amazing people from all over the world. And speaking of all over the world, tell us where you're from.
Yeah, I'm tuning in from Germany. I am German. I grew up here and I live here, but I do travel the world. I love traveling. And right now I'm in between Berlin and Hamburg. So if anyone wants to look that up, that's kind of the north of Germany. And it's already cold.
It's already cold in Canada as well. So
Yeah,
today was definitely a jacket day. So,
definitely.
so tell us a little bit about what brought you to this point where you became the queen of sales success mindset.
Yeah, that's such a great question. I would assume that everybody in their life has a point where they think like, well, is that it? There must be more. So I used to work in corporate as a sales director for high-ticket live events, selling them over the phone for over a decade. And I never intended to be in sales, but I ended up in sales. And so I started my journey in corporate from basically clueless, learning the ropes, to actually being the sales director of the department I started in. And then I thought, well, there must be more. It's like, I want to travel. I want more of my personal freedom, my time freedom. And while I was looking for that more, I discovered personal development. I discovered coaching. I became a coach. And then I thought, well, if you bring those two worlds together, like the coaching and sales, that's when magic can be created, because I've seen over and over again that these heart-centered, driven entrepreneurs, coaches or healers, creatives, accountants, they want to do good, but they don't know how to sell their services,
Right.
or they don't feel good selling them. So I put that together, and then people told me, well, wow, I mean, that's just mindset. It's sales success mindset, and you are the queen. So this is, long story short, that over the years, I supported so many people making that shift in their mindset to feel amazing when selling, to make offers with ease, with grace, with confidence, to ask their price. And that makes a difference for the entrepreneur. As we know, if you don't sell anything, you don't have a business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's so many people that have this need because when I started, I was in a city in Fredericton, New Brunswick, which they claim they are or almost are the startup capital of Canada. And there's lots of startups that evolve, but what happens is they're started by people who either hate their boss and want another solution, or have this really great idea, but neither of those are necessarily a solution, a positive way to start a business, right? You need sales.
Yeah.
And so, in a similar way, that's how I started. I was actually sales director at an online university, and then saw like all these people need some help. So how do we give them what they need to go and sell? So that's amazing. So what are the biggest challenges, if you want to get specific, what are the biggest challenges that your audience finds or has when it comes to making sales or the sales process?
Yeah. I think it's like asking for the sale. They have amazing conversations. They really shine in their brilliance, in their expertise. They know what they're talking about. But when it comes to that moment where they realize I'm talking to my perfect client and now would be time to make an offer, well, either they kind of don't notice the moment,
Mm-hmm.
or when they notice the moment, they don't dare. They don't really know how to do it so that it's fun and they can enjoy it. It always becomes a little bit weird
Mm-hmm.
at this point,
Right.
which then also can repel the other person, because now you had the great conversation and all of a sudden, when we talk money, it's weird. So something must be off. And I see that struggle with a lot of people, which doesn't help them to serve more people because they might lose the sale.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lot of people that meet your demographic, that are your demographic, watching this, listening to this. What is one tip that you can give them to help start? I know it's a process, but like, what's the one thing that you can give them through here? And obviously, I don't want to, give all the way all the secret sauce. But what can you give them to move that needle right now, to get them in a place where, let's just say they know they need to improve their sales, they've got something they're very passionate about, and they want to hire you, but there's a gap. They're like, oh, I just got to get a few more sales or get a little bit closer. What's that? How can we move that needle? What can you share with them that they can implement right away?
Yeah, I think just realizing you're talking to a person. You are talking to a human being that has challenges, who has needs. And obviously, when you talk to them and you realize they might be your perfect client, it's really important that you serve them. So in the story, shift it from you, where the focus is, with your fears or doubts or whatever, shift it over to them. Just come from that place of service where you can make sure they get what they need, because you've got that in store. So just make that offer and don't expect them to say yes. Be committed to the goal, supporting them, but don't get stuck in, focusing on the outcome. If they say no, totally fine. Just have that conversation, that natural flow, and see where it can go in the conversation when you make that offer, when you ask your price, right? You can say, well, I feel or I see we would be a perfect match. Would you like to know what it is working with me? And when they say yes, you just make your offer. And when they say no, I don't think I'm ready yet, or I have some more questions, you just have the conversation. They're not going to bite, right? They're not, especially if it's on the phone, they're not going to come
Yeah.
through the phone and, shake you. So don't be afraid. It's a human being that also has needs like you, that is afraid and fearful, that has the challenges or has the challenges. And your place is just to support them. So switch the attention from you to them. And I think that will make a big difference when you really stay in your heart, serving, having a conversation, and then if it's a perfect fit, making an invitation. And it's up to them to decide. It's not your job, it's their job to say yes or no. So don't worry about it. Let it be their job. Your job is to make that offer.
I love it. Love it. It's like what I found with public speaking is the reason people are nervous is because they're worried what everybody else thinks of them.
Yeah.
Right. And when you make that shift to, it's how do you show up so that you can give maximum impact to the audience? That's when it all changes. So
exactly.
Yeah, in sales conversations, the exact same way. So I've actually seen people physically change their body language when shifting into the sale.
Yeah.
Like I've seen, I was actually doing a role play. It is, right? I was doing a role play call for somebody that wanted to come in and work within the organizations I work with. And she was talking and she was talking. And then all of a sudden she went, and so did you want to, are you ready to move forward? And like everything shifted. I was just like, whoa, hold on. What was that? And it's such a big deal, but that's a big issue for a lot of people. Do you feel like that's kind of how often do you see that, like the actual physical level of discomfort?
Oh, I see that pretty often. So usually I used to work on the phone, but when you train your team, you see people in front of you. So I help them to, get more confident by practicing power poses,
Mm.
right? By taking up the space, putting your shoulders back, have your head straight. And maybe when you're like uncomfortable, why don't you have the conversation while you're standing with both legs firmly on the ground? Have your body posture up and just be open. There's nothing to fear. And I think it takes a little bit practice to be comfortable in this position. Especially, I see that with women who are kind of taught to more go within, to close up, to cross their legs, to not take a lot of space. So just, open up to the conversation, not just in your mind, but also with your whole body. And then, have the conversation, stand on firmly on the ground and ask for what you think is best for the person, right? You wouldn't make an offer if it's not a fit. So don't be afraid to make an offer, because you only do it when you know you can support the person with the challenges.
Right, right. So when you're working with your clients, what percentage of your focus is specifically around phone sales versus other type of sales?
A lot of my clients have these strategy sessions or discovery sessions, or however you want to name them.
Mhm.
So I would say it's about 90%.
Okay.
And we also start with a mindset, which for me, that's the key number one.
Mhm.
If your mind isn't in the right place, nothing else will get into place, right? You
Right.
can have your power pose and,
Mhm.
you can pretend, but if inside you are fearful and nervous, that will somehow translate into your body.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how would you describe your ideal client? Who's the perfect person that you love to work with?
Somebody who really wants to make a difference in the world, who has an expertise of some sort, and they are now looking to monetize that, right? They have helped their friends, their family, people come to them for advice, but they don't really know how to package it, how to word it, how to put it out in the world. They don't know what kind of price to ask. So, yeah, because the clarity is missing. Also, the mindset, the sales success mindset is missing. Usually it's healers, small business owners, coaches, consultants. So anybody who has not necessarily a physical product, but something that comes from their expertise. And I see over and over again that this seems to be more challenging when you sell your own creations than when
Yeah.
you actually have a physical product or you sell for someone.
Mm. Yeah,
So anybody with that challenge would be the perfect fit.
now I'm curious. So you've been doing this for a long time, and so it's interesting because I find people like on the side of this business that we're on, people look at us like, "Oh, well, you don't understand. Like you're just good at this." But I know for me, when I started, I had the same problem you just mentioned. I was going, now I'm selling my own stuff. Last time I was selling an online degree, or I was selling, whatever it was. And
Yeah.
suddenly it was like all these emotions came into it when it was me that had to deliver the result.
Hmm.
And it probably took me 6 months to get over it.
Yeah.
So for you, was it the same way, or did you just step up and go, I've been doing this for teams, I'm ready to rock?
No, I had the same challenges. Like how do you package something? The fear of, can I deliver?
Right.
Right? It worked in this environment, but now it's different. Like, is it going to work? And I remember it like it was yesterday. The first online offer I made, nobody bought. People
Mm.
were interested, people were engaged. I did in a closed Facebook group and everybody was excited. And I was like, yes, this is going to be good. I can take them further. I can make this offer. And then nothing. So you can
Mm.
imagine, like, I was pretty upset and frustrated because I didn't know what did I do wrong. And then next time I made the offer more appealing. I got more of the pain points. I kind of shifted to what I offered. And then all of a sudden, I just put out a post and somebody bought my first $97 workshop.
Nice.
And I didn't even have the conversation like live. I just saw that, my PayPal pinged on my phone and it
Yeah.
said like $97. And I was like, wow, this was so amazing. And, I've made millions in corporate
Mhm.
for the company I worked for. But these $97
It's a big deal.
changed my world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in a similar way. It's funny, we've got a lot of the same stories. I did my first webinar. I made an offer and I complicated it. It was like, here's a monthly thing, here's a year thing, and if you want to upgrade, it was a mess. Nobody
Yeah.
purchased, but it turned out the quality was horrible. And I sent an email after and said, you know what, guys, I'm super sorry. I listened to the replay. I'm embarrassed. That was horrible. It was all just audio quality. And I said, you know what, for putting up with me, here's a link. Just jump in for $7 a month. And everybody signed up.
Wow,
And I'm like,
cool.
oh, and I remember like being on the treadmill, looking like a month after month, $7 from PayPal, and I'm like, this is great. So yeah, it's it doesn't need to be a big dollar amount. It's that feeling of somebody's investing in me for my
Yes.
knowledge, my expertise, and the results that I get them,
Yeah.
and it's huge. And
Yes,
I'm sure,
somebody says yes to you,
yeah,
like to your own creation. I felt that shift and I still remember it like it was yesterday. That's something you won't forget. And it was so impactful. Well, obviously, we all move on from that first dollar amount and you grow. But it was such a wonderful experience because it did confirm that I was on the right path.
mm,
And I just had to figure out more of how to serve more and better and, ask my price and package it the way people really not just needed it, but also wanted it, right?
mm,
Because usually they come because they want something and you give them what they need in addition to what they wanted in the first place.
of course,
So figuring out all of this was definitely something that took quite some time and some courage, but it's so worth the journey.
love it, love it. So I have a very specific question for you. On a few different episodes of this show, we've talked about pre-selling. And I
Mhm.
know in the coaching space and the service space, this is a challenge for a lot of people. You either go two ways. You spend all this time creating a product or service or program, and then you go and then you try to sell it. But then there's another school of thought. I see you shake your head. Yeah. Another school of thought where it's like, if you know enough to talk about it, go talk about it and see who'll give you the credit card. And then there's like the not quite so committed version that says, go do a survey and ask them if they would buy it. Where do you stand on all that? I'm curious.
I would definitely don't create it because if you create it, they come, it's not working. Like if you are not the guru in the market, if you are not the Tony Robbins, where people just, your fans just buy whatever you offer to the market, don't
Right.
do it. Like put out, do your research, know what your audience needs, and then, just put out the outline. Like you need to tell them what they will get, and they don't really care how they get there. They want to know what they get there when they have arrived, right? When, for example, I said earlier, I love traveling. I don't care what kind of plane takes me from Paris to San Diego,
Right.
right? I just care that I get there, hopefully in the shortest time
Right.
possible. But the rest is not really that important. So I want to know where I'm going. What's the destination?
Mm,
So don't build it and describe the details, like how many seats and 5 meals and what kind of
right.
drinks. Like just go with the benefits your client will have once you took them from A to B. And
Mm,
therefore, you need to understand A, you need to know the pain.
right.
What are they wanting to change? Like we are going away from pain towards joy. And where can you take them with the expertise you have? And you just outline it and then you sell it. And then, if it works, you don't need to tweak it because now you have all these raving fans.
Right.
Then you have it. Then you can resell it. If it's a group program, you already have your curriculum, just take it. But if it's the first time, I would never invest the time. I would love to get paid for making it up while I go.
I love it. I love it. So for those of you watching, if this sounds like something you need support with, especially, and I love this particular point because so many people, I talked to somebody today actually, and they said, oh, I'm focusing on building this, and it was a directory, like building online directories. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how are you going to sell it? Oh, I'm just going to send an email. So sorry to that person that I was talking to this morning who's probably watching this. But we had a very in-depth conversation. And suddenly I was like, go pre-sell it, you know? So
Yeah, definitely. Get supported, right? You have a business, so
yeah,
you're not a charity. So get
right.
paid for your work, get paid for your expertise and your research. I mean, that's the most amazing place you can be in, because then you don't need to worry where's your next client going to come from, how you're going to pay your bills. You will be in a place where you have money coming in, flowing in, and then you can build. And the amazing thing is you can tweak if you need to, right? If
Right.
you see like your audience, the people who have invested with you need something else you didn't think of, you can just add it into the equation and everybody's going to be happy.
And part of this piece is, and we were talking about this before we went live, the need for perfection. Like we can use it as a way to procrastinate, but if you just be okay with getting it done, done's better than perfect. And truthfully, you need feedback from people to make it perfect or close to perfect, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to build it before anyone's there to tell you whether it works or not, it's a misuse of energy, I will say. So that's awesome.
I agree.
So you made a point a minute ago or so that I don't want to overlook. You said take them from A to B. Many people say take them from A to Z or Z, depending on the country you're in. But you said A to B. I want you to expand on that because I love it, and it just struck me as you said it. But why B and not Z or Z?
Well, you gotta see. I mean, you can look at yourself, right? So everybody watching, including us two, we have challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And often when you want to take somebody to Z, they might get totally overwhelmed. So why don't you just take the first step and solve a challenge, an issue, a problem, and then once they are there and they have the clarity, then you can take them from A, B, C to D,
Right.
right? So it's wonderful to have that journey, but if it's empty and somebody can't really connect to it, right? So you might be starting out in business, and if I would tell you, well, I'm going to take you to your first 10 million, that's pretty far away if you haven't even made your first $97 or your $7.
Right.
So it's something you probably can't connect with. But if I tell you I'm going to take you to your first client and we're going to make it in a way that you enjoy it, that it's going to be fun, and we will find the right price point for you so you feel amazing making that offer, that's B. And once you're there and you sold a couple of your packages, well, then you can go to the next point, and then we can talk about, making 5K or 10K or 15 or 20 a month, and then you can grow from there. It doesn't mean that you can't have big dreams, but you want to make it kind of achievable and aligning the energies and the excitement that it is a challenge, but it's not such a huge challenge that you can't even see it or feel it.
So like, I don't know why this analogy popped into my head, but don't sell a whole dairy farm and they don't even know if they like the milk, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a very Canadian
That's
reference,
a
I
good
guess. We'll call it a Canadian analogy. Awesome. So now, Christine, I want to go into what I think is the most fun part of the show, which is the lightning round. So we all know coffee is for closers. What is your favorite kind of coffee or comparable drink? Oh. It's empty. Oh, no.
It's empty. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. because it's one of those sales movies that really pushes people away because it's pretty,
Mm. Yeah, it's
heartless.
pretty hardcore. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big coffee fan. I try to get away from it, but it's not really working. So yeah, coffee, definitely a couple coffees in the morning.
Yeah. Now, how do you drink it? Like
Just
black
black,
or ah,
black. Yeah.
girl after my own heart. Love it. Now, what is the number one book or movie that you recommend to sales reps, sales leaders, or even entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So everybody in sales, no matter how good you are, how far you are with your experience, if you're afraid or if you're totally confident, I highly recommend reading The Go Giver by Bob
Mm,
Burg and John David Mann. It's a book that made a huge difference in my sales career when I was still in corporate. I got like, just read it. Just read it.
it's an amazing
It's
book.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of my most favorite books, and I think it's so different from what you expect when you read a sales book,
It
and
is.
it will really support you, and it will make a huge difference in your life. I can highly recommend it.
100%. And it's interesting. I saw that you had interviewed Bob on your podcast.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, I
awesome. And
interviewed him several times. Yeah.
yeah, and for those of you that don't know, you hear people in sales talk about, you'll do business with and refer business to people who you know, like, and trust. Well, that's a Bob
Yes.
Burg quote. Bob is the one that said
Totally.
this, and that single phrase has completely changed the sales industry. So yeah,
Yeah.
huge fan of Bob.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He also says in The Go Giver, money is the echo of value.
Mm,
So
that's
just think
huge.
about it.
Money
Like,
is the
what value
echo
can
of
you
value.
provide that money just flows in?
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. So, who is someone you consider to be a mentor in your life?
Well, with all the Go Giver books, Bob is definitely one
Hmm.
one of them. And then, in the personal development space, obviously, Tony Robbins
Hmm.
is kind of a must follow. If
Right.
you haven't walked over your hot coals yet,
Right.
that's definitely something to do. What I really love from the spiritual side, because I do think that sales and spirituality go very well together, is Louis Hay. So
Oh
when you
yeah.
get the opportunity to read Heal Your Life,
Hmm.
I highly recommend that as well. And in this combination, you will grow a ton.
Love it. Love it. I actually did the fire walk this past year.
Oh,
So yeah,
congratulations.
yes, my feet are still sore. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was a very amazing experience, like mind
Yeah, it
blowing.
totally is. Yeah.
Now, the last question of the lightning round, and this I think is the most fun. What is the strangest thing you do? Strangest thing in your
Okay.
daily routine to keep yourself on your game?
In my daily routine, the strangest thing.
Hmm.
Huh. Oh, okay. All right. So I love taking walks in nature,
Hmm.
to get grounded, to get fresh air, to move my body, right? Because when we're always in our heads, it's not really working. But that's not strange. But I do hug a tree once in a while.
Ah, there we go. All right, that's awesome.
There we go. I'm a
For
tree hugger.
in the literal terms, I love it. I love it. So, Christine, tell me, where can people get more of your greatness? And I know you've got a little something that you wanted to share with the audience as a gift.
Yes. So anybody who wants to connect, it's christineschlonski.com. Then obviously, going to the Heart Sells podcast would be amazing if you want to tune in and listen to wonderful guests, and as well as solo episodes where I share a little bit of my knowledge. But what I really, really love are the empowerment notes. So this is basically my notes into your inbox, where I share all the updates of Hard Sales podcast, as well as things I usually don't share on social media. So where I give some advice or tell some stories to uplift you, to empower you, to motivate you to really go for the next sale. Because when you made it, you did not just get the money, that's just part of it, but you served another human being with your amazing gifts. And I think they need to be out in the world. They belong to the world. So, the more you give, the better it is for everybody.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So guys, that is christineschlonski.com/empowerment notes. Go there, sign up, join her world. She's a total rock star. Christine, thank you so much for being on Sales Team Rescue. I appreciate it. And for those of you watching, you want to catch the replay, be sure to go to salesteamrescue.com for this replay and previous episodes. We will see you next week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Remember, guys, get uncomfortable, get results. Cheers.
Awesome.